everybody, Cheryl and Rose here. If you want to know how to ruin a card in 4 steps, this is it. A bunch of us crafty ladies over at Instagram threw together a hop for World Card Making Day super quick. I decided I was going to use my Sunbird Spark, the Flourish Boldly one that I had won during their giveaway. And I wanted to try it so that I was moving the stamp and the panel around so that that flower would be in different spots all the way across the panels. You can see that I'm using my anti-static tool, my Versamark, and then I'm bringing in different colors of embossing powders. I wanted them to be autumn colors. So I was using the copper, and I was using a gold, I was using a bronze, I was using a rose gold. And I have to do each of these in turn to set the powder in place so that I don't mess it up when I'm positioning the stamp the next time. So you can see that I'm just going through each of these steps, rinse and repeat, and getting the next color in spot and then going to the next positioning of the stamp. And at this point, it was starting to warp a little bit. I used a little bit of low-tack tape to hold it down to my grip mat in the Misty. That worked because I wasn't stamping over those particular spots. And I'm just about done. We're on the last one here, just filling in that corner. And it worked out well with being able to arrange this stamp through this watercolor panel. It did take the Versamark pretty well. I did have to double stamp. I was worried about that a bit because this stamp from Sunbird, it's got so much detail on it. It's going to be really nice on something like a Nina cardstock. I still have to try that out too. I'm looking at there thinking, okay, this is good. So I put that aside for a moment and I wanted to get out a thanks because I knew that I wanted this to be another gratitude card. So same thing, anti-static powder, Versamark. I brought in for this one, it was a metallic chunky embossing powder that I have. And this one has mixed, it's got like black, it's got gold, it's got copper, it's got kind of a silver. And again, it works really well for the autumn colors. Now, once I got a little bit of that down, I then came back in with the Crackling campfire glaze over top and that I'm tapping from underneath to fill in the spots that the other didn't. Now, with those chunky ones, you want to heat from underneath first, the same with the glitters. And then once I got the paper warm, I brought it around to the top, the heat gun. All right, so it's finished. I'm running it through my die cutting machine there. I'm going to check it out. I also ran through brown cardstock, like a craft, for the shadow layer for behind. And that's what I'm adhering to now. We'll put the acrylic block over top of it to keep it flat. And while that's off to the side, this one, I've got the panel now taped down to my make art and I've got my Lindys out. So you can see that I flashed the colors that I'm using there. Again, mostly autumn tones. I did bring in one of the Nouveau's, a lighter silver color for doing in between the flowers. And so once I've got them sprinkled on a slightly wet panel, I'm going to remist over top to activate them. Again, I'm going to move that to the side. So now we're moving to the inside of the card. And I got out the Pink Fresh Thanks again for choosing the sentiments that it's got. And again, repeating that autumnal tones. I started out with some of the paprikas and the reds and the oranges. And for the Picket Fence Studios, the crafty mail part, which is this Stay Crafty hashtag, that one I wanted a little bit lighter. So I'm using more of the oranges with this, and then I will come back in and I'm going to highlight a few parts just with that paprika red again. Use my blending brush to tap off a little bit of it so that it doesn't have quite as harsh a demarcation line on it, but kind of like the way that leaves would change. And now over all of it, I'm pushing a yellow over the top so that it will push those inks out and give it that slight glow that I like to have. So brought back in the flower from the Flourish Boldly. I used a lighter honey butter yellow first, and then I'm bringing in two of my blending brushes with a lighter red and a darker red, and I'm just, again, tapping on the insides of those flowers. Really nice effect. Custom stamp on the back, because it's not my card if it doesn't have one of those stamps on it, right? I'm looking at the Lindy's panel. It looks dry enough now to do what I was going to be my next step. And here's my first lesson. Just leave well enough alone. This is gorgeous the way it is. All you would have to do here is just wipe off a little bit of the Lindy's powder that was stuck on top of the embossing powder. But no, I had to bring in Ranger Crackle. This was the paste, the Crackle translucent paste. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to redo the stencil over and over and put it through there. Well, little did I know that I was letting that one dry before I did the others, and it started peeling up from the Lindys. So lesson number 2, don't add to that mess. I thought, oh, I can fix it. I'll just do the others in Crackle accents, right? And so here I'm going through the other flowers and putting the Crackle accents on, and once it's dry, I'm putting the ultra sticky tape on the back. And it was about this stage that I realized I still had another problem happening. But it's like, okay, well, I'm going to put this panel down and we'll see what we've got because I want to adhere the die sentiment to the front. This is where I was really seeing that the Crackle paste reactivates under the Crackle accents. And I also realized now that because I was setting the thanks down into the Crackle accents that I put on over top of the other ones because it explodes under the heat gun. Like seriously, bang, bang, huge bubbles popping up. And that's why I have to fix it putting Crackle accents over the top. Now I've got a hole there in the middle and I need to put a die sentiment in. But that is the finished card. You can laugh with me too. And hey, so you win some, you lose some. You all go be that change we want to see in the world. Thanks for watching and subbing and liking. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.